Yo guys, welcome to the new video. Today we are going to discuss what happened at the Dutch election and eventually the new government that has been established in the Netherlands. Right now, as you might know, we have a new government led by the PVV from Geert Wilders, who has been known as a staunch anti-Islam politician. And yeah, he's called the Dutch Trump, and this win has mainly been a symbol of the European shift towards the populist right. And yeah, we're gonna see the agreement and what they have actually uh, agreed on in the coalition uh, papers. So yeah, you might think by yourself, how long is this government established? This has happened 3 months ago when they came out and said they have an agreement. Yeah, let's just first look at the election results before we explain the coalition agreement. So, if you take a look here, you can clearly see that the PVV from Geert Wilders has won basically in a landslide, according to Dutch, um, yeah, according to Dutch elections. This result was a landslide victory because there are so many parties in the race, and getting this amount of votes is really a very good performance from the PVV and Geert Wilders. Well, yeah, they came in first. The second place was GroenLinks PvdA, or also known as Green Left, and the Labour Party. They united behind in these elections to create a united left under Frans Timmermans, the European Commissioner, who mainly constructed the Green Deal. And it did not really play over well with most voters because they saw him as a European bureaucrat who was coming back to the country to easily become prime minister. And that really hurted him, at least among the moderate voters, because, of course, under the left wing voters, he had established a united front for the first time because the left usually was divided in many different parties. But yeah, they are right now have established a united front and basically established themselves pretty well with 25 seats, gaining 8 compared to last time. While the PVV gained 20 seats. That's really astonishing to see right there. Then in third place we have the VVD. Now the VVD is the former party of right now NATO head Mark Rutte and former Prime Minister Mark Rutte. They have been in power for the past 12 years. So their new leader is Dilan Yasugas. She was the Ministry of Justice. Um, she was pretty known among the right-wing spectrum to be a staunch right-wing Minister of Justice and a bit more on the right-wing faction of the VVD. The VVD has basically two factions, one who's more socially liberal and one who's more classical liberal and more conservative. She is definitely more on the conservative side, as she has said early in the campaign that she's been willing to work with Geert Wilders, which Mark Rutte has ruled out for many years. When you go to the fourth largest party, that's NSC. NSC is a new political party established by Peter Omtzigt. Peter Omtzigt is a politician who basically gained prominence after uncovering the child benefits scandal, which was discovered in 2021, where there was benefits taken away from certain parents who don't have enough money for unknown reasons, for reasons that are not justified at all. So, like many parents who did not have any money were taken away from the system, and they basically couldn't send their child to school, basically. So, yeah, a pretty sad thing right there. But yeah, he basically gained a lot of popularity from that. He was a member of the Christian Democratic Party, the CDA, and was famously enrolled in a kind of scandal from the VVD on a piece of paper that said they wanted Peter Omtzigt in a position of power so it wouldn't be a problem to discover problems like the child benefit scandal. So they wanted to put him on a ministry and where he can just shut up. And that's came out on the news. And Peter Omtzigt left the CDA eventually and formed his own party only a couple of months ago. He served as an independent before. So um, this party is not really important. It's not really worth to talk about. I will talk about the BBB, the Farmers Party, and the CDA because these two are the interesting ones to talk about. The BBB, the Farmers Party, gained a large victory in the regional elections just a couple of months earlier, but their base was divided among Peter Omtzigt voters and also BBB voters. And a lot of BBB voters went to Peter Omtzigt and Geert Wilders after they saw that Geert Wilders was going to be concluded in the coalition once again. He gained prominence that he hadn't before, and he basically united the right wing populist vote behind him. So yeah, the BBB big victory in the provincial election. They are out of the 12 provinces, they are governing in 10 provinces right now. So they pretty much are a good represented party in the provinces, and they are the largest party in the Senate, which makes them very influential, even though they only have 7 out of the 150 seats. When we go to the CDA, this one is a very important, yeah, very crazy one to actually, yeah, crazy, because the CDA has been one of the oldest political parties in the Netherlands. They've been around since the 1950s and always was one of the big players, alongside with the VVD and the PVDA itself, with the Labour Party. So they already were in decline a couple of years ago, but now they are really at a low point of 5 seats. That's the lowest ever, and it seems like the CDA is not going to recover from that anytime soon, because yeah, so they have been in coalitions with the VVD, and they have conducted many legislation on the climate change subject, which was not appealing to their base, and their base basically switched over to the Farmers Party and the NSC. Well, that's the CDA. It's also interesting to think that only 20 years ago they got 40 seats in the House, and now they only have 5 seats. That's really a big change. Okay, so you might say, okay, this is the government, this is the results. We know there's a new government formed. So let's just take a look at which parties formed a government. At first place, we have the PVV van Geert Wilders. He was he had a task of forming a government alongside with other different parties. So the coalition concludes of the PVV, the VVD of Dylan Jezielgus, the NSC from Pieter Omtzigt, and the BBB from Caroline van der Plas, the Farmers Party. You might say, why do they have 4 parties in the coalition, not just 3? Because the VVD NSC is enough for a majority. Well, that's not the case in the Senate, though. The Farmers Party is very influential in the Senate, and therefore they have included them in the coalition because it makes them less dependent on other parties in the Senate. And given that the NSC is a brand new party who wasn't formed before the provincial elections, basically don't have any Senate seats. So yeah, that's the case for the NSC. So in the lower house, they basically have a full majority, and in the upper house, they barely don't have a majority. But compared to other right-wing parties like the FVD, the G821, they and sometimes the CDA, they will have, alongside the FGP, which is a Christian right-wing party, they will have a majority in the Senate to pass their new legislation, which will probably happen. Okay, so this is the result right now. They have formed a coalition. We will go into the details later of what actually is in the coalition. It's right here. It's in Dutch, so I will translate it to you guys. So, Basically, the title of this coalition agreement is Hope, Courage, and Pride. The Netherlands is a beautiful country, a country to be proud of. So it's basically said, yeah, we need to work hard and to win trust of the Dutch again. So the Netherlands people don't really trust the government, especially the last two cabinets of Mark Rutte really decimated the trust level in the government with COVID policy and many other things happening like the child benefit scandal, Groningen scandal, just scandals everywhere and just complete chaos in the government. Well, we're gonna take a look at the first important basic things that are read here. These are like the um, basic goals of the government. So there are going to be tax breaks from the year 2025, which are aimed at uh, hardworking Dutch, young and old, middle class business owners, and also for people who are lower classes and have a hard time coming by. Now, this one is a very uh, interesting, the strictest assignment policy ever. So they, of course, the PVV's biggest point was migration, and they really seemed in this agreement to really have established a strong grip on migration policy. So a big impulse of the houses built infrastructure are going to be adopted on the energy transition. So uh, the climate goals are still the same, and they're still aiming on the climate transition and so forth. Uh, the own risk system is an insurance you pay. Like, okay, how do I explain it? It's like, for example, this 165 euros. If your medical bill goes above that, the government will pay it for you. If it goes under this amount, you will have to pay it yourself. So right now it's around 450 euros, and in the year 2027 they will go and more than half it down towards 165 euros. And they want to invest in the elderly care, which has been really hit hard by the recession before in the first round of cabinets when they really enabled austerity measures and really left the elderly care system alone. Okay, so Boss own agricultural and fishery business and also promoting them to ensure food security for the future for us all. More saying of the citizens through another election system and the strengthening of constitutional rights through a Supreme Court. Now, uh, the election system change is based on like regional election systems, so every province getting a set number of representatives, which they will send to the second chamber. Now, the Supreme Court will take a long time to establish because it will take around 10 years to enable a constitutional change in the Netherlands, and it has to get two-thirds majority. So this one is not really for the next year or something. This is really in the future. The Dutch safe, no, keeping the Dutch safe from criminality and terror, like a really basic saying right there. Now the coalition will continue support to Ukraine, and they will continue delivering weapons and financial aid. Let's take a look at one more on the migration topic. So let's take a look. People without a valid permit to be here, deport them as fast as possible, including with force, which is something that is not happening at all at the moment, but seems to be happening in the future, which is, in my opinion, the normal way of doing things, because if you're here illegal, you should just go out, deported immediately. Now the huisvesting. It's now social housing in the Netherlands. Before this coalition agreement came, refugees had status, so they could get a home earlier, especially a social home, while Dutch people were on a waiting list for a house for 20 years basically can't get a home because there are many refugees who are willing to live here, including student migration as well. They want to call out a asylum crisis law. This basically enables them to do more about migration. If they don't enact this law, then they do not uh, have the authority to really tackle the issue. All right, they are gonna strengthen the entrance system. They were gonna invest in the border security. They are gonna work with Germany and Belgium to enforce that, and just many other things. So basically, this means the new coalition is pretty right wing and conservative, although it's not that they completely back out of NATO or uh, don't support Ukraine anymore. On the topic of migration, BVV really took advantage and took the most out of the agreement, while every party has their own little issue. Like the PVV did have migration, PVD on economics, the NSC on changing the constitution, Supreme Courts, better electoral representation, while the Farmers Party, of course, really worked hard for farmers' representation. So yeah, that's the case right now. It's pretty interesting to see the increase of the PVV. So yeah, let's take a look at the polls right now. So since the last election, uh, PVV went really upwards during the negotiations, and the other coalition partners went down because they first refused to work with them, but then later um, did work with them once again. So the PVV right here decreased and then just stabilized 26% right now. The coalition still holds a majority in the polls, so not much has really changed in the electoral sense. So yeah, that's the issue right now in the Netherlands. Right now they had summer recess, so they didn't actually enact any laws. In September next month, it is right now September. In September um, they will introduce many laws on Prince Day, which is the day when they present the budgets and the plans for the year. So after that day, we're going to see all the laws coming in and being passed, and we're going to see the coalition agreement into actual policy. So yeah, that's interesting. Now, if you guys like this video, please leave a like and a comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and I wish you a very good day. Godspeed to all of you.